Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners, and we are here on Monday, December 4th, 2023 at 1:35 p.m. for public hearings on the 2024 through 2025 Biennium budget. We have the first one, the Law and Justice budget at 1:30. Then at 4 p.m. we have the General Government public hearing, and at 6 p.m. we have a public hearing on the Comprehensive Plan docket item. And at 6:15, it's open public testimony on the 2024 through 2025 Biennium budget. I'll get started with introductions. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. Vice Chair Ty Menser, as well as Commissioner Wayne Fournier to my right. And then Commissioner Gary Edwards is excused. He will be joining us here shortly. He got caught up on the Hill. But we have Commissioner Emily Klaus to my left. So with that, I will go ahead and have Nicole Martinez, or
I'm going to open it, Commissioner. Thank you.
go ahead.
Robin Campbell, Interim County Manager. We're joined today by the budget team as well as Assistant County Manager Rob Gelder for the opening of the public hearings on the budget for the upcoming biennium. I just want to thank all of the county staff who have been working so hard on this budget, and a big thanks to the elected and appointed officials and the finance staff who are with us this afternoon. The way this public hearing works is a little different than any other public hearing for the county, because for the budget, the law states that at the appointed time, and either the board or a citizen may ask questions of the official about their budget. So that's different from any of the other public hearings where the board simply receives comments on the topic at hand. The way we have structured the hearings this year, we are trying to streamline the process a bit. So Nicole will be going over all of the office and department budgets for each section, and then Commissioner Mejia will open it up for public comments and questions. So that basically means for Law and Justice, Nicole will go over all the slides for the clerk, the coroner, district court, juvenile court, superior court, pretrial services, the prosecuting attorney, public defense, and sheriff, including corrections, before you open it for public hearing or questions on any of those budgets. So that's how it's going to work. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Chair of the Board. Thank you, Commissioners. Can you hear me well?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so we'll start with the slides.
They gave me power and I don't know how this is gonna work.
Okay, so as it was mentioned, we're here for the 2024-2025 biennium. RCW 364070 requires that the Board of County Commissioners meet to take public comment on any part of the budget. The law allows for the hearing to continue from day to day, not to exceed 5 days until the entire budget has been heard. The law further states that officials in charge of the several offices, departments, services, and institutions shall, at the time of the estimates of their respected offices, departments, and institutions are under consideration, be called and appeared before such hearings by the board at the request of any taxpayer, and may be questioned concerning such estimates by the commissioners and any taxpayers. So this speaks to what the county manager was speaking to. Today, we will have hearings within group topics. The first topic will be law and justice. At 4 o'clock, we'll go over general government. At 6 o'clock, we'll hear the capital program. And at 6:15, we'll have open public testimony. Okay. So the order of the hearings today, I'll introduce the office or the department, speak briefly about the budget, Then after I've spoken through all of those departments and offices within that topic area, we will open it up to comments to the board or to the offices and departments. The officials will be able to answer those questions, and then we will recess until the next section. So to kick off the beginning slides here for the public hearing, I'd like to speak to the budget process. So the biennium budget process is a year-long process that starts in January. In January, the departments begin to develop their internal service rates. And then around May and June, once the departments have finalized those internal service rates, we also get information from departments and offices concerning any HR requirements, such as FTE, classifications, if they're looking for new within their budget. Also required by law in June is a call to budgets. A call to budgets is required on or before the 2nd July of each year. Elected and appointed are in charge of any office or department are notified in writing what their budget requests are due for the ensuing year by the 2nd Monday in August. So this is our budget process annually to develop the biannual budget. After the departments return their request in August, this information is submitted to the board in September. In September, we hold budget work sessions into October. Once those budget sessions are finalized, we have a preliminary budget that is presented to the board in November, and also it is made public notice for the public on our website as well in November, so that's the publishing of our preliminary budget. In December, where we are right now, we have public hearings in the beginning of December. We also will have final deliberations following these public hearings, certify the property tax, and then adopt the budget. All right, so let's get into the budget. So the 2024-2025 preliminary budget, combined operating and capital budget for 2024, the expenses are a little under $559 million. This includes capital and operating. The revenues are 442.9, so about $443 million in revenues. For 2025, the expenses are 512.4 million, and the revenues are $427 million. And this is just a high-level look of what the revenues and expenses are. There will be opportunity within the public hearings to get into more detail as to the expenses to the revenues. These are program revenues. They do not include fund balance. You will see the difference between your revenues and expenses, mainly because of your capital projects. You will have revenues that come in a prior year. We hold those revenues until the expenses are needed for those capital projects. So for our 1:30 hearing, we're going to go into law and justice. I will speak to the clerk, the coroner, district court, juvenile court, superior court, pretrial services, prosecuting attorney, public defense, the sheriff's correction, and law enforcement departments. Okay, the clerk records superior court proceedings, maintains the court's records, and collects fines and fees ordered by the court. The policy level change requests included in this biennium for the clerk are the extension of the Blake decision positions, as well as extension of our court backlog. We also will have a reduction here in the legal financial obligations fund, and then general fund reductions. The policy level request here, including maintenance level budget for 2024 for the clerk's office, is about $5.2 million in expenses, and in 2025, a little under $5 million, or a little over $5 million. In the coroner's office, the coroner reviews and investigates deaths occurring in Thurston County. And the policy level requests within the biennium here are increased to autopsy and extra help budget. Also, there is an office assistant 2. We'll remove the FTE from 0.5 to a full FTE. And the budget for 2024 is $2 million, and roughly the same in 2025. The district court hears misdemeanors, traffic, small and civil claims cases, and mental health for veterans. The change request here located in our biennium. The top 3 or 4 here, they are TST funded change requests. The first one's for mental health probation counselor, a mental health court assistant 1, administrative assistant, training and professional development, and equipment for TST funding. Also, we have the substance abuse program and some general fund reductions. Later in our hearings, I will get to more information concerning some of these requests. The juvenile court provides court probation and detention services for youth up to 18 years old. Juvenile court is part of Superior Court. The request within the biennium budget are for Heart Strides program. This is TST funding, and also there is a general fund reduction. For 2024, the total budget is $9 million, and in 2025, $9.2 million. Superior Court hears civil and criminal cases and conducts DUI and drug court. The change requests located within the 24 and 25 biennium for Superior Court include extension of Lake decision positions, also for extension for positions who are working on their court backlog. This is due to COVID. We have a backlog, and so we have an extension of those positions, and a general fund reduction. In 2024, the total budget is $8.9 million. In 2025, it's a little over $9 million. Pretrial services conducts pretrial investigations and screenings, makes recommendations for pretrial releases, supervises released defendants, and conducts defendants and community resources, or connects defendants to community resources, excuse me. Within the budget, there's administrative assistant 2 and also a hub operations assistant. The budget for 24 is $1.8 million and a slightly larger with $1.8 or $1.9 million in 2025. The prosecuting attorney works on criminal prosecution services, civil and legal advice for county offices, and crime victim services. The change requests were located within the 24 and 25, so these are increases or changes to the budget. Our community program manager, a victim advocate program coordinator, a criminal division paralegal 2 position, extension of Lake decision positions, extension of court backlog, and a general fund reduction. With the passing of the public safety sales tax during deliberations on Wednesday following the public hearings, we will work on the reductions that is programmed in the prosecuting attorneys based on the resolution of that proposition. So in 2024, the budget is $12.9 million in the preliminary, and in 2025, it's roughly the same, $12.9 million. Public defense provides legal defense services to indigent individuals, and the change requests located within the biennium for public defense include expansion of the Thurston County investigation services, reorganizing the felony unit, public defense of social work program extension, as well as the community reinvestment plan, extensions in the court in the Blake decisions extension, and also court backlog positions. There is a package to streamline department administrative assistance, which is an admin service manager, general fund reduction, and also to public defense with the passing of the public safety sales tax. There will be an opportunity after the public hearings to speak to that budget and make adjustments based on the passing of that proposition. The total budget for public defense in 2024 is $9.6 million. In 2025 is $9.2 million. So the Sheriff's Corrections Office, it operates adult corrections facilities and alternate programs that support successful reintegration into the community. The change request located within our budget that make impacts for 24 and 25 biennium are food service contract increases and a shift of our detention facility sales tax expenditures to the general fund. The 2024 budget is $27.5 million, and in 2025, it is $28 million. The Sheriff Law Enforcement provides emergency response and law enforcement in the unincorporated county. The change requests located within the biennium are contracted mental health professional services, additional overtime costs, basic law enforcement academy rate increases, the moving of an FTE from the IT and from the Sheriff's Office into the Information Technology Department. Also, the public safety sales tax, there is a phase-in approach included inside the biennium. There is a general fund reduction. Again, with the passing of the public safety sales tax, we will go back to the law enforcement budget and make account of that reduction and make that change. So that are all of the departments and offices that are located within the law and office section of this public hearing. So that's all that I have, Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I will open it up for commissioners if they have questions or comments at this time. Commissioner Klaus, we'll start with you.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Fournier?
So this doesn't yet include the public safety sales tax money. There'll be another run at it where we look at how that's allocated.
Yes, Commissioner, thank you for your question. So during the deliberations to work through the requests that are included in the budget, we had to take a two-phase approach, and that was to include actual expenditures for the public safety sales tax as well as the reduction in the general fund. But pending the outcome of the public safety sales tax, we'll have to go back and remove that reduction based on the information inside of the resolution for the public safety sales tax.
Thank you.
But the budget does
Yes.
include items that were in the public safety
That is
sales
correct.
tax.
Yes, so it does include the request for the public safety sales tax. It also includes a reduction in general fund in those departments. So when I speak to making decisions during the deliberations, we will be removing the reduction in general fund, however, keeping the requests that were placed for the public safety sales tax.
We'll also review if anything needs to be added to the public safety fund.
That is correct.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Menser? Okay, and there's no questions for me. So I'll go ahead. Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Okay, so at this time, I'll go ahead and open it up for the public for public comment. And so there are some guidelines. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. And I will be adding a minute, so speakers are limited to a total of 5 minutes to address the board or to address any of the directors or elected officials who are here in terms of questions. And so we'll go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Okay, there is one person on the sign-up sheet, and that is John Pettit.
Not quite sure what I just heard here, but it sounds like you want me to do 5 minutes for all of the elected officials, or potentially 5 minutes for individual ones?
5 minutes for all of the law and justice.
For all of the law and justice. Okay, and it's on and off, is that correct? So they can answer a question, so I can lead to another question, or what?
Yes, we will pass the timer to you. Give
So-
them the time to.
To answer.
Mhm.
Okay, so my first question is going to be to the coroner's office. I'd like to know how many deaths you've had. Has the number of deaths increased with the population? And has your office have enough people? You appear to have the smallest amount of employees of any of the particular offices we're dealing with, and yet you're probably the only one that doesn't actually have some type of administrative aide, deputy involved. And what are perhaps some needs that you see that would be necessary to run your office in a better fashion with this growing population? More people, more deaths, but do we have enough more staff to deal with it?
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Pettit. And good afternoon, board members. Year to date, we've had 2,624 reported deaths. 46 of those were suicides, 8 homicides, 124 drug-related deaths, and we're probably right on track to see 3,000 deaths total. As far as staffing issues, I have a full-time admin assistant. I had requested a chief deputy, which I will note that I'm the only elected official without a chief deputy. There's a lot of opportunities that we're not able to have access to just because of our staffing level. Hope that answers your questions.
Thank you. Okay, my next questions are going to go to Superior Court, perhaps Superior and Juvenile courts. And the question I'm going to have is, with this public safety tax that you have that allegedly will be putting more officers on the road, is there likely to be more arrests, more processing, more trials? And how has the budgeted reflected? Do you need more money in order to accommodate that? This is a 2-year budget. I'd like some thoughts on that.
Judge Wilson, or I see Judge Shalom. Yeah, yes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Mr. Pettit. Judge Wilson, presiding judge for Superior Court, and as Nicole mentioned, Superior Court and Juvenile Court under the same Board of Judges. So backing up from public safety measure, the court's mission is to provide access to justice, and a component of that is timely access to justice. So throughout the budget process this year, we've been emphasizing what both the Superior Court and the Juvenile Court's needs are to keep up the pace so people don't have to wait an unreasonable time to have their case addressed. That's criminal, civil, family law, everything that we do. With the county facing revenue shortfalls earlier this fall, it was clear that the needs that we had identified would not likely be, at least in the preliminary budget. So even before Prop 1, we are concerned about being able to keep up with the pace of processing cases. And that translates to not serving our mission, providing timely access to justice. We appreciate the budget shop and county management and the commissioners talking to us about lots of different approaches to try to address our needs. We continue to, with the preliminary budget, not have our needs met in terms of being able to meet our mission of timely access to justice. Now with Prop 1, the courts were not mentioned. So to directly answer Mr. Pettit's question, I understand Prop 1 will in part fund new road deputies who I imagine lead to law enforcement contacts, arrests, referrals, prosecution likely to increase charging, and once charges are filed, that's court work in Superior Court and District Court. We are looking forward to participating in the 2024 discussion about Prop 1 funding, but we as courts were not mentioned as recipients. So if there are not Prop 1 direct funds for the courts, we're going to continue to be asking for other sources of funds to meet the needs. Again, back to Mr. Pettit's direct question, if Prop 1 funds, and we anticipate it will, new law enforcement activities, it's going to translate to new cases in court. And if we don't have the staff and the resources to meet our needs, meet the pace, then there'll be a slowdown or logjam at the courts. I hope that is responsive to Mr. Pettit. Thank you.
Well, I will have another question real quick. My other question I'm going to have for you, Judge, is if you do not provide a timely trial, are the people released without having to be subject to a trial?
The Constitution provides a right to speedy trial for individuals who are facing criminal charges. The individuals are presumed innocent and they have a right to a speedy trial. There's court rules that define the starting point, and then the Constitution and case law provides how that's defined for individual cases. To the extent a trial for a person who is facing criminal charges does not happen within a reasonable time as defined in the Constitution and cases, then we could end up dismissing cases and releasing people without trials.
My next question is going to go to the prosecuting attorney's office. How will the impact of Prop 1 be affecting your office? Do you anticipate a greater number of cases that you're going to be having and managing? How does the coroner's office affect your office? That if they don't do a good job of doing things, could you be losing cases on that in terms of not having proper evidence to support?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Thunheim. I'm the prosecuting attorney. Couple of good questions. Let me start with the coroner one first, and then go back to the Prop 1 implications. The role of the coroner, well, the coroner and the prosecuting attorney's office is a strong partnership and has been for as long as I've been in office. And we work very closely together, particularly when it comes to homicide investigations. There's a really critical question sometimes that comes up in suspicious deaths where it's really the role of the coroner to decide and to investigate and determine whether a suspicious death might be an accident, a homicide, or a suicide. In a lot of cases, that's fairly easy to determine. Some cases, not so easy. But beyond that is the findings of the pathologist. That can be really, really critical in a homicide prosecution. The stronger the coroner's, I think it goes without saying, the stronger the coroner's office, the stronger the work product is coming from the coroner's office does, the better our cases are, the easier it is to move forward in a prosecution. As to the Prop 1 implications, I think it's a little bit early to tell exactly what Prop 1 implications are going to be on caseload. We'll see. My immediate need is frankly just to get prosecutors in place to continue to deal with the backlog that still exists from COVID. And the challenge for us has been not so much in terms of number of positions, but recruiting and retaining and filling those positions. That's been the ongoing challenge for us, and it continues to be a significant challenge. Right now, I still have open positions. I've had open positions and active recruitment going for at least the last 18 months and never been able to fill all of the positions that I have. So that's really the bigger challenge that's going forward for us. I'm not sure I would directly foresee an increase in law enforcement, in the number of law enforcement officers on the street and an increase in arrests. That could happen. But I'm not willing to kind of lay that prediction out right now. There are, I could see I do see case numbers increasing, quite frankly, because of the increasing crime trends that's going on in the county. We're seeing an increase in the number of reported crimes, and particularly number of reported violent crimes. But I don't think that has anything to do, obviously, with Prop 1. That was happening before Prop 1. In fact, I think that's a big reason Prop 1 passes, because our community recognizes that that is an issue. And so the additional resources coming into the sheriff's office, I think will help address that in terms of their response time, their ability to investigate those cases, their ability to give us cases that are high quality and prosecutable, all of those things. I don't know that it has a direct impact on the number of cases. We'll see. There is a school of thinking, actually, that as you increase enforcement and increase the presence of enforcement, it can have the effect of decreasing crime. Takes time for that to happen. But that is very much out there in the literature that is an impact. So I think it remains to be seen exactly what happens with the caseload. Right now, my primary concern and the reason I'm really looking at Prop 1 as a benefit is that we can continue to get through the backlog of cases while currently addressing the ongoing increase in crime. That was probably longer than you wanted, but there you go. There's my answer. And thank you for the questions.
Next question is going to be for district court. I've been up to the courthouse a couple different times, and there still doesn't seem to be enough parking, and there are limited resources in the district court. So I'd like a comment about the necessity for upgrading facility or relocating a facility, or what some of the options might be to help accommodate and serve the needs of the district court at this point.
Brett Buckley, Brett Buckley, presiding judge, Thurston County District Court. And I appreciate Mr. Pettit's prompting all of us to come up and give our budget spiel. So thank you, and nice to meet our new commissioners. I'm going to answer the last part of the question first, and that is, what are the needs of district court? District court, Thurston County being the 7th largest county by population in the state out of the 39, our caseload mirrors that, where we have the 7th largest caseload by case filings for any of the district courts in the state. What's notable is we have the 34th lowest ratio of FTEs to case filings in the state out of 39 counties. So that shows you historically, district court has been underfunded relative to the caseload that we have. Another way of looking at it is a county commissioned needs estimate back in 2015, which was initially done to get at the issue that Mr. Pettit was talking about, which was the need for a new facility, which directly pointed out that we need a brand new court facility. And in the 8 years since, the building has not improved. It continues to deteriorate at a fast rate. So the need hasn't diminished at all. That needs assessment study indicated that at that time, district court had less than half the space it needed. That hasn't changed. So it also did a personnel assessment. And at that time, district court had 31 staff. And in 2015, the folks commissioned by the commissioners said district court needed 41 staff. And they said that by the time we reach 2030, we'll need 53 staff. Currently, we have 32 staff, not including judges. So we continue to be underfunded, and we don't have the staffing necessary to address the caseload that we currently have. So that's one issue. Now, we've been directed by the commissioners to take a 4% budget cut, and this is in spite of the fact that we receive, as Judge Wilson said, no money from the public safety tax that has been passed. So the only non-mandated function for district court is our probation department. And the 4% budget cut that we are going to have to take is from our probation department. What does that mean for the county? We currently have 2 probation officers, but as we take this budget cut, we're going to go to 1 probation officer. And that probation officer is going to have to do what we call monitor probation. That is just records check. We will no longer have a probation officer who's doing actual supervised probation duties. That is working with those folks who are the most needy of having somebody work with them in order for them to be able to comply with the sentence imposed by the court. And I'm speaking specifically about those repeat DUI offenders and our domestic violence offenders. Those folks we normally want to be supervised. They're not going to be able to be supervised because we will not have the staff and probation to do so. So that's going to be the net effect of the budget cut we're being directed to undertake. And I will also join Judge Wilson in indicating that to the extent we have more law enforcement personnel out there, we are going to see our case filings go up. So the problems I've just highlighted will be exacerbated by that. And as I said before, the need for a new facility is great. We need the space. We don't have nearly enough space to operate, and we need the personnel as well. Thank you.
My next question is going to be for the clerk's office, and I'd like to know what they believe the impact will be for them regarding the Prop 1 coming out and whether there'll be more need or more help. Okay. Apparently she's not here. Okay, the next question will go to the sheriff's office. And I think we as citizens can certainly say we're happy and that we're getting some extra good efforts going and everything. And we certainly need some more officers on the road. But then that comes up with some other questions about facilities and everything. Currently, the sheriff's current office is looking to be changed out some way, shape, or form. So I'd like a little input about what are some of the additional needs you're going to need besides just funds for officers on the road, but also for other aspects to help? And I'm emphasizing perhaps direction related to drug enforcement and going after the drug issues that we have in this county.
Good morning, commissioners. Welcome to our newest commissioners. It's good to see some more faces in here, and I appreciate John for the questions. My name is Derek Sanders. I'm the elected Thurston County Sheriff. I'll first start off with the facilities. Language inside of Proposition 1 also included for funding for infrastructure. So of the things that we can use Proposition 1 money on, it does include infrastructure. The reason for that is that I am responsible for 3 separate bureaus and 3 separate buildings. And if you can imagine how challenging it is, I can't spend all day at the jail. I can't spend all day at patrol, and I can't spend all day at the courthouse. So between the 3 buildings, it has been a challenge over the last couple decades, I'm sure, for the previous sheriffs as well. So one of the things that we are looking at with the Proposition 1 money is, first of all, we are at our max capacity. We have no space, which is something that we've talked about as elected officials, and it ultimately, I believe, led to the atrium coming into existence as the county is running out of space. This is true for the sheriff's office. Up at the courthouse, we have no vacant areas inside the courthouse to add any new employees. And at our field operations building, which is currently in Tumwater, our sergeants sit under umbrellas while the water leaks through the roof, and all of our sergeants share offices together that are really only suited for one person to be in there. So we are crammed, we are out of space. So we have gotten together with the county and started the realtor process of trying to find the cheapest possible solution to buy a building that the county actually owns and does not lease. One that will meet the current and future needs of the sheriff's office, especially as we look to add more than, I think it's 30 FTEs from the Proposition 1 funding. So the infrastructure is certainly going to be there for a need, but on top of the infrastructure need, we are trying to consolidate and stop the process of having different bureaus and separate buildings and all of the issues that has created. As far as drug enforcement goes, I've said it often since I got elected, you know, the coroner can confirm we're probably on pace to see drug overdose be the leading cause of death in Thurston County again. It does not look like our numbers are slowing down at all, and I will remind everyone in this room that there are only 2 detectives in this entire county who are working drug narcotics operations at anything more than the traffic stop level, if you will. Both of those detectives belong to the sheriff's office. We do not see any cooperation from any of our city agencies, despite the fact that the narcotics detectives spend most of their time within the city limits of Olympia and nowhere else. I shouldn't say nowhere else, but primarily within the city limits of Olympia. So we have continued to seek a partnership with the cities when it comes to this issue. And unfortunately, sometimes we hear things like, well, we'd rather have a shoplifting enforcement team. And my whole thing is that shoplifting is not the leading cause of death in Thurston County. So this is a multi-pronged issue. It is not something we are going to be able to enforce our way out of, which is why we do a lot of stuff between the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. Obviously, the Blake fix coming down has changed things pretty substantially. However, we've tried to take a multifaceted approach to the drug epidemic issue and all the issues that we're seeing. But for me, it's not something where we're going to solve this issue with just treatment or just enforcement. So in the future, Proposition 1 money will likely stabilize our Thurston County Narcotics Task Force unit, because that unit is funded through a number of inconsistent sources, like seizures and grants that are running out and things like that. So without Proposition 1 passing, we were actually having conversations with the commissioners about having to basically, that would be one of our budget cuts, was the Narcotics Task Force team, which would lead 0 enforcement in Thurston County at the dealer level for narcotics. Did I answer your questions? Okay.
Next question has to do with the correction facilities. I think I just heard you suggest that we're up to capacity with our correction facilities. One of the ongoing parts is, even though you may have worked out new union contracts, it appears that the union contracts are still considerably below nearby adjoining areas for pay scale for deputies and perhaps other workers. How are you going to help maintain a retention if we have contracts that are paying less than what other places do?
So just to clarify, our corrections bureau is not at capacity. That is a near brand new facility that was built just over a decade ago. We haven't even been in it for 10 years yet, I don't believe. So for the corrections bureau, we do not have a space issue per se. And now it is only built in 1 out of 2 phases. However, on August 1st of this year, I opened the jail up for all bookings. That included all criminal offenses and all warrants pertaining to those. The jail population has gone down in that time. So currently, I believe our jail population starts to get pretty crammed at about 390 inmates, and we are at 227 when I looked last night. So we currently have plenty of space in the Corrections Bureau. Now, moving on to contracts, the last time I looked at our comparables for the jail is actually somewhere in the median, it looked like. So, for us, actually, I think the pay scale for the jail has actually been relatively competitive when it comes to recruitment. For patrol, I know that theirs is at the bottom. And I won't really spend too much time delving into the pay scale of my employees. They are getting ready to go back into contract negotiations, both unions. But what I will say is this, pay is only one form of retention. Yes, pay is important. We all have to go home and take care of our families. But if pay were the only thing that kept employees where they are, then someone would need to explain to me why Seattle Police Department has 400 vacancies. They make considerably more money than us. However, we routinely see Seattle applicants leave to go to other agencies. For me, at the county level of funding structure and the funds that we have access to, one of the things I say often to our employees is that if all you're interested in the paycheck, then Lacey pays more and they always will. However, if you want to work at an agency that actually takes your opinion into consideration, implements new ideas from the bottom up, and is looking to truly take care of employees, then the sheriff's office is probably a better place for you to work.
Okay. Next, I'm going to talk to Public Defense. Public Defense, I believe, has about 55 employees in that particular department. How is the impact going to be happening regarding the Prop 1? Do you see an increase? Are we actually being able to help these people on pathways towards both defense and perhaps means to move towards other elements of treatment or other such things?
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Patrick O'Connor, Director of Public Defense. Well, as to your first question, the passage of Prop 1, it's speculative at this point for, at least in my opinion, to appreciate any impacts and caseloads specifically in Washington State. Public defenders enjoy state standards on public defense, i.e. there's only so many clients a public defender can ethically represent. Every year, we are at those maximum capacity numbers right now, so we will certainly monitor any impacts if there are more deputies, we'll see more arrests. But I think a clarification is it's not just Prop 1 funding the sheriff's office, it's also our municipalities, which also can directly impact our justice system with arrests and the like. So it's pretty prospective at this point for me to estimate how many new cases we may be getting next year. But certainly, I think we'll all be responding if that is, if that's the case. In terms of pathways for individuals that are justice involved, I'm very proud of the work Thurston County does as a whole. My law and justice partners, the prosecutors, the sheriffs, the courts, pretrial services, we have all done a lot of work over the past several years. I've been here a long time, and I'm very proud of the pathways that we've created through diversion opportunities, law enforcement assisted diversion opportunities. So getting people out of the justice system before they ever get in. And if they are touched and they're the right types of cases, that we're getting them on a pathway to a better life for our community. So hope that answers your questions. Yep.
I won't leave out pretrial services. Pretrial services, you do a very important job for the county in order to help facilitate the courts and make recommendations and everything. Are you going to have enough people? Are your facilities acceptable? Is there something more that could be useful to help enlarge or make your office function even better?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the question. My name is Carrie Hennon, Director of Pretrial Services. I think you asked a couple questions, enough people and facilities. I'll take the second one first with respect to facilities. Like I think a lot of my law and justice partners, we look forward to upgrades to the courthouse campus, and I know that project is underway. We are currently spread out in a couple different buildings, and we do have some space limitations, so we look forward to that project moving forward. In terms of having enough people, I think, again, probably all of my colleagues would say our caseloads are high, we are busy, et cetera. So given the current budget climate, I think we feel fortunate to have maintained our staff, et cetera. As workload has increased and caseloads have increased, I think there is, of course, more we could do. We could be more supportive, more responsive, with more staff, but given the current budget realities, that is not possible at this time. But we have managed to, I think, implement a lot of improvements over the past couple of years. Pretrial Services has re-expanded its services to district court, which was the case, then wasn't the case, now is the case again. We've also implemented with our partners a validated pretrial risk assessment tool. So we are doing as much as we possibly can with the resources we have, and I think that does kind of, again, along with our partners, advance our work in maximizing release, maximizing public safety, maximizing court appearance, which is really what our department seeks to do. We also do have I think, public defense referenced diversionary opportunities. Pretrial Services does operate a diversion program and provides some great pathways, alternate pathways for individuals with behavioral health needs. Thank you.
Now, my only other question is whether or not I actually have some general follow-up overall comment available, or am I limited to 9 seconds?
You have the time on the clock, sir.
Well, I want to thank all of you for your good service. I know you take it right from the heart, and your efforts are genuine. I hope you get enough funding in order to run your offices appropriately.
Thank you. There is no one else on the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone else who would like to provide public comment at this time? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No one from the public on Zoom.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for the electeds present or the department directors?
No questions?
Okay. So we'll go ahead and take a break until our 4 p.m. public hearing on general government. Thank you.
Thank you.